The story of the rescued sled dogs here in Livingston has spread across Montana. I'm Nick Petriccioni, and coming up, I go inside the Stafford Animal Shelter to check on how they're doing.
One day you're working from home and the next day your employer asks you to return to work. But what rights do you have as an employee and as an employer? I'm Uni Johnson and I'll have the full story coming up.
A look into the future and your temperature. I'm Ian Lee with the new smart helmets defending against COVID-19.
Trust me in that one. That helmet story is super cool. I put that in the show this morning. It's super cool stuff. 6:30, Chet Lehman, Caitlin Corbett, Matt Elwell from all points of studio this morning. And we're glad we're inside because it's a little rainy outside.
Yeah. It is. Hey, be glad we don't live in Nevada right now.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah,
we're getting
seriously.
swarms of large earthquakes. 6.5, the largest. It's out in western parts of Nevada. That is pretty impressive. Some of those numbers
not
are
all
coming
that
up.
far from where I grew up, Matt.
Yep. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. It's kind of interesting stuff. Most areas dealing with temperatures into the 40s, a couple of 30s out there. Again, this morning there are some damp roadways. Not currently raining here, but we are seeing rain showers from time to time this morning. We could see some thunder showers by the afternoon. Nothing that's going to be game-changing on that, but we'll probably see some moderate downpours from time to time. Our daytime highs right around the 50-degree mark with scattered showers through about midnight. We're going to break down your weekend forecast and look into next week. That's coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:31 now on this Friday. Earlier this week, officials in Paradise Valley rescued sled dogs as part of an animal cruelty case.
MTN's Nick Petriccioni went to Stafford Animal Shelter in Livingston to check on the condition of those animals.
They were pretty rough. You know, they had been obviously left for a while by themselves. They just needed some care.
On Tuesday, 17 sled dogs were found in Paradise Valley that the Park County Sheriff's Office determined were neglected and abandoned, tethered to 6-foot chains and living in barrels. When officials arrived, one of the Alaskan Huskies was dead. Another needed to be humanely put down. The rest were taken into the Stafford Animal Shelter for care.
We had some assistance from our veterinary partners next door at Sleeping Giant, and we just kind of did an assembly line. We examined everyone, prescribed medications for anyone who needed them, vaccinated everyone.
What a difference 2 days has made. The dogs are recovering and on the road to adoption pending legal resolution in the case. The Park County Sheriff's Office said they could not release further information on an ongoing investigation, but the Park County Attorney's Office told MTN News that no charges have been filed at this time.
Here at the Stafford Animal Shelter, they say they have been blown away, not just by the Montana community support they've received, but from every corner of the country of people who are willing to adopt these dogs.
It means so much to have community support for these animals. Just knowing that the community cares about animals and animal welfare and wants to see these guys have a happy life means a lot to us.
In Livingston, Nick Petriccioni, MTN News.
6:32 now on this Friday. Tuesday, we told you about a woman who entered Yellowstone National Park illegally and was badly burned after falling into a thermal feature near Old Faithful. Well, now these are photos from a security camera in that area that show a person with 2 dogs running around the boardwalks. The dogs run through Geyser Hill, then head for the parking lot at the front of the Old Faithful Lodge. The actual fall into one of the hot pools is not captured on this video. Park officials do tell MTN News they believe this is the woman who was burned. Park officials say the woman was backing up to take a photo and fell into a thermal feature. The woman then left Old Faithful, drove north towards Mammoth. She was stopped by park rangers about a mile south of Mammoth Hot Springs. Due to her injuries, the woman was taken to the Eastern Idaho Regional Medical Center by helicopter. Yellowstone has been closed to visitors since March 30th due to the coronavirus pandemic.
Some Girl Scout cookies.
I saw that, yeah.
I don't know if that's supposed to be there. As our state continues reopening, it can be a little confusing knowing your rights as an employee or an employer when it comes back to going to work. MTN's Annie Johnson talks to an expert and breaks it down for us.
One day you're working from home and the next your employer might be asking you to come back to work. But what's your rights as an employer and as an employee?
This is a unique time where I've never had to say it depends with almost every legal question posed that's related to any of the policy changes around COVID, because they are updating them so frequently.
So let's break it down, starting with the employee.
If the employer offers them their job back, they do need to come back. Otherwise, they will not. If they refuse to return to work, then there is a good possibility that they will not be eligible for unemployment.
But there are several circumstances where an employee has valid reason to not return.
If they're a primary child caregiver and there's nobody else at home, and that's the reason that they're refusing to return to work, or if they are a caregiver for somebody who's been affected by COVID.
And the employer has specific responsibilities to uphold before they can ask employees to return.
The employer who's asking them to come back is still required to be following the phased reopening directives.
But a responsibility the employer doesn't have is determining whether someone can or cannot receive unemployment benefits.
Whether or not they continue to receive unemployment benefits is made by the Department of Labor, not the employer.
If either party has concerns, the best place to start is the Department of Labor's website.
Go to the website and look and see if any of the questions posed have an immediate answer, or at least some guidance so that they know if they have recourse.
There's so much information out there for both employers and employees to find a reasonable solution. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Shifting gears to the political world now. As you know, one of the top 2020 races in Montana this year will be the U.S. Senate contest between Republican incumbent Senator Steve Daines and Democratic Governor Steve Bullock. But what you may not know is that both men actually face opposition in their respective party primaries. MTN's Mike Dennison talked to the challengers.
Before Governor Bullock got into the Senate race on the last possible day in March, 3 Democrats had already filed as candidates. 2 of them then withdrew, and Michael Knowles of Bozeman suspended his campaign, although he still appears on the Democratic primary ballot. But energy engineer and U.S. Navy veteran John Muse is still running and says Democratic voters should consider him. He says his background and his vocal support of things like progressive taxation of the wealthy and multinational corporations and clean energy development make him an ideal challenger to Daines.
In today's era, we have some of the biggest challenges this country has ever faced. But we need to vote intelligently and we need to vote courageously. Otherwise, we shouldn't take any of it for granted.
Senator Daines has 2 competitors in the Republican primary, including John Driscoll, who last ran as a Democrat in 2008 for Congress. Driscoll's campaign has consisted of a 56-county tour during which he posted Ace of Hearts signs that honor local acts of courage. Daines' other opponent is Stevensville hardware store manager Dan Larson, who supports a universal basic income payment of $1,000 a month for every citizen. Larson says the payment would replace other safety net programs and end up saving the government money and reduce human service bureaucracy. He also says Daines has supported and enabled the extremist tendencies of President Trump that are hurting the Republican Party. Larson says he offers an independent voice, not unlike, he says, another lesser-known Senate candidate.
So when we talk about the battle of 2 Steves, what I think of it is like this. If you looked at me running against like John Muse, I think that would be a better ballot in Montana. I think it would be a fresh perspective.
So if you're not down for the battle of the Steves in Montana's U.S. Senate race, you do have a choice. But I think we know who the winners will be after we count the primary votes on June 2nd. In Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Time now is 6:38. While countries work to contain COVID-19, many have invested in new gadgets to slow the spread of the virus. As travel bans continue to lift, some technology is ahead above the rest. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
They look straight out of a sci-fi movie. RoboCop-style helmets designed to take temperatures. At Rome's Leonardo da Vinci Airport, police use them to scan incoming passengers. The augmented reality is projected inside the visor, says the senior engineer. It's able to detect the temperature of a single person or group. The helmets can read temperatures from more than 20 feet away, an important tool to maintain social distancing. The international airport is ramping up safety measures as it slowly reopens to visitors. Similar technology is also being used by police in Dubai. Officers are deploying the Chinese-made headgear throughout the crowded city. It can scan up to 200 people a minute. More advanced than other smart helmets, this gear has 6 different scanning options.
So it's got the temperature reading mode. It also has facial recognition capabilities, plate number recognition, QR code reader, and ultimately this all connects together to give you the history of a person.
As it works to keep cities healthy, the safety feature isn't immune to criticism. Civil liberties groups say the technology acts as Big Brother and is an invasion of privacy. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Super cool, yet a little creepy. 6:39 now. Today is Girl Scout Cookie Return Day. COVID-19 knocked them out on March 20th. Pre-orders, more sales, and booth sales with social distancing will start back up. Scouts are usually selling through April, but will now extend that through June 30th.
Oh, that is great news.
Yes, I'm super happy to get my Samoas.
We actually have 2 boxes in my freezer, Thin Mints and Tagalongs. I've munched a few Tagalongs already.
Well, they sell anything other than Samoas? I didn't know that. That's the only ones I buy.
I do like Samoas too, but a little peanut butter chocolate action is always good.
Samoas. I'll have Samoa.
We'll save this argument for the break.
There we go. Fair enough. We'll arm wrestle for it from across the room. 6:40. Just kidding. 6:40.
No, he's not.
May I please go to the bathroom? What? When was the last time that you had to ask that? Grade school, maybe? Well, the old rules making a comeback in the age of the coronavirus. Coming up, where and when you may have to start getting permission to go to the potty. But first, let's check in with our friends at CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Only on CBS This Morning, the commissioner of the FDA joins us with a warning about potentially inaccurate results from a coronavirus test used by the White House. Also, we'll take a look at the growing pattern of unsettling incidents connected to protests against stay-at-home orders. Plus, Dr. Tara Narula answers your questions about keeping children safe during this pandemic. And we continue to remember the lives of those taken from us by coronavirus. We'll see you at 7 o'clock on the dot.